everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Spec Commentaries. I am Spec Son of InYourHeadOnline.com, and as you can tell from the marquee, this has to deal with the sudden retirement of Adam Copeland of the WWE. At this time, now the former World's Heavyweight Champion on the SmackDown brand, and as many people around the entire pro wrestling world, sports entertainment world, wherever you want to call it, still shocked by this. It was really, really sudden. And, as many people don't really know about a lot of the particulars, in regards to the situation, um, it has been reported over the course of the last week that Edge had been suffering a lot of numbness in his hands, possibly his feet, but his limbs were twitching and had a very cooling and unsettling sensation in his neck. As many of you might not understand, might not know the backstory about Edge's neck problems. He broke his neck shortly before, right during the Royal Rumble back in 2003. And even he mentioned it on his promo during the Tuesday show, Tuesday tapings of SmackDown, which is airing as I speak right now on the Friday. He was basically wrestling on borrowed time. And 8 years later, I think that all the wear and tear finally took its toll on Edge, and he had to hang it up before he risked permanent damage to his neck and the rest of his extremities, excuse me. And it was, just a very, very sad, time. Once you really, really think about it, this is a guy in Edge who I can remember and recall the first time I ever saw him, and all of those crazy vignette promos that Edge would do, corralling around New York City, in subways, with a mysterious look on his face back in 1998, shortly after WrestleMania 14 occurred. Edge was the next guy, the next big guy, big star, young star that they were going to profile, and Edge just looked like something different. He looked like an enigma. And throughout the course of that year and his matches, he got better. It's well documented that he teamed with Gangrel and later on Christian around the fall of 1998, where he made his debut, became known as the Brood, a big vampire-like group under Gangrel's tutelage. The guy, you could tell that he had something in him, but you really didn't know what that was going to be. Whether or not his entire charisma, his work ethic, all of that stuff matched into one would actually be portrayed into the WWE during an era where Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, The Undertaker, later Big Show. The list goes on and on with these other guys who are getting a lot of attention. And we eventually see Edge form one of the greatest tag teams of all time with his kayfabe brother, Christian, long time friend, real life friend, Christian. And they became one of the most charismatic, if not the most charismatic tag teams of all time. Tremendous heels that was able to get heat by really virtually doing anything that they would do, whether that's goofy, corny backstage gimmicks, whether there's their sophomore pranks, whether it was their catchy lines. I mean, who could ever forget, with anyone with the benefit of flash photography line that Edge and Christian would always bring to the table. So to see those two actually team up very shortly prior to WrestleMania was definitely something that a lot of the old school Attitude Era fans who watched these two guys so many times could really enjoy. And we even saw a glimpse of their great entertainment during the WWE's Slammy awards that were held on Raw, in which Edge was a recipient of an award, and Christian came up and basically presented it to him, congratulated him, and you saw that chemistry immediately resurface itself, which was a really cool thing to see. So I was, very, very pleased to, actually hear that Edge would not further damage himself in basically a booked match at Extreme Rules against Alberto Del Rio, who defeated Christian last week on SmackDown to earn another chance at the WWE, or excuse me, at the World Heavyweight Championship on the SmackDown brand. Um, Edge, you got to give it to guys like Edge and Shawn Michaels who come back to the WWE after a major surgery, whether that be the back or the neck, and last in the WWE for for more years in which they were there originally prior to their injuries. You look at Edge when he had that major neck surgery; he was just coming off a tremendous run um, with the likes of a Hulk Hogan as a mid-card singles wrestler, winning the tag team titles with Hulk Hogan back in 2002, eventually eventually doing just phenomenal work with um, with Christian, and once they broke up during 2001, winning the Intercontinental Championship, winning King of the Ring, submitting himself as somebody who was going to be a pretty darn dominant um, superstar, so to speak, as the years went by. Teaming with Rey Mysterio to form a pretty good tag team in 2002. And then the freak injury that he suffered back in late 2002, early 2000, I think it was January 2003, if I'm not mistaken, really prior to the Royal Rumble, and basically he broke his neck, and Edge was out, which is well documented for a very, very long time, well over a year. Um, he missed WrestleMania 20, and it was just really, really heartbreaking and sad to see somebody of his caliber, who was really getting that major push to be a major babyface in the company, all of a sudden is reduced to having to be on the sideline and watching his peers move up the ladder instead of himself. And to Edge's credit, he comes back to the WWE, um, wins the WWE Tag Team Championships with Chris Benoit, um, has a pretty good face run, and then immediately he turns heel again. And that's when Rated R Superstars formed, and the rest is really history. Wins Money in the Bank, the first one back at WrestleMania 21, cashes it in for basically, I mean, it really wasn't a whole year, but it was less than a year. Forms an alliance with Lita, his so-called girlfriend, has that just crazy story, crazy real life triangle love fest, so to speak, with Matt Hardy, becomes the talk of the internet world. Edge cashes in Money in the Bank, wins the WWE Championship from John Cena at the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view in Albany, New York, so to speak. And as I said, the rest is just history with him. Had classic matches with Mick Foley, famous ECW one night stand stuff. The list just really goes on and on and on and on with the accomplishments that Edge did, the live sex stuff with Lita on Raw, just good stuff. And to not drag on about Edge's career, because many of you really know about his whole career. No need for me to continue to reiterate it. Um, I was just simply caught off guard on Monday. I mean, the entire day was just wow. Because a couple of my friends told me about everything that happened with Edge, and the first thing I thought was, this has to be kayfabe. And the reason why I say that is because the WWE and really all wrestling organizations over the past, since forever, when television became a huge emphasis in pro wrestling in the 1950s, late 40s, and probably even before that, the career ending slash retirement storylines have been so rampant and prominent in pro wrestling. I mean, you look at Ric Flair, You look at Dusty Rhodes; he's even done it before. I mean, really, virtually everybody has done it at some time. Ric Flair has had career-ending matches like 4 or 5 times during his career, but he's still wrestling. Or really in some capacity on a major role. He's in some way a major influence in some professional wrestling organization he's ever been in, including TNA right now. And he lost probably one of the best retirement matches against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 24. So when I heard this about Edge, I was like, all right, Edge is probably going to lose. He'll probably take some time off, and he'll eventually come back to the WWE. But that wasn't the case because there's been several credible, very, very credible, as credible as you can get, websites, dirt sheets, whatever you want to call them, that basically said that this is definitely legit and Edge will retire on Raw. And his retirement speech was very touching, very emotional, very authentic, and that's really when I knew that this guy's, unless this is one heck of a work, this guy's definitely gonna retire because you just can't play around with neck issues. You feel numbness in your hands, in your legs, all of your limbs, and you feel a little coolness in your neck, and just very unsettling. It's probably best that you don't continue. And Edge has nothing whatsoever, and the fans of Edge have nothing at all to be ashamed about in terms of this guy. And he was basically right on his promo on Raw. He has grown up in front of the WWE. The time he was a 23-year-old doing promos in New York City as this enigma-like figure, um, to becoming a guy who is known as around the world as the rated R superstar, who has perfected that gimmick. And although I have been under the impression that Edge has been, a stale character over the last year or so, since coming back to the WWE, I will say this: I have thoroughly enjoyed the last 4 or 5 months of his career in the WWE. It was an honor, and it was definitely a privilege to see him live at WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta when I went to WrestleMania a couple weeks ago. Never did I would have never known that this would have been his last match, but I'm very, very proud and pleased that I saw it live. Um, if this is indeed Edge's last match, you know, that if that was indeed his last match, the guy went out as a champ. He finally got that WrestleMania victory, um, world title victory at WrestleMania, uh, and I was proud just to see the guy perform. Just an awesome performer in so many different ways. Whether you liked Edge or whether you hated Edge, whether you enjoyed his stuff with Vicky Guerrero or whether you're not, whether you enjoyed the TLC matches or not, can't deny that this guy has put his tail on the line. I just feel real bad that a lot of the superstars of the Attitude Era are now gone, and there's really not that many left, um, of people who was before that era, during the Attitude Era, and shortly after it. All the guys who wrestled through OVW. There's really not even that many of those left. So I'll close this very rare video version of the of spec commentaries out by just giving my congrats to Edge, Adam Copeland, for a tremendous career. I hope that he is going to find a lot of more success, if not, something that can match the success he found in the WWE, because Edge is still a very young guy. He may be 40, or approaching that age, but he's been in the WWE for a very long time, and probably professional wrestling. He needs a long break, but I would love for him to come back, do a lot of promos and stuff like that, because Edge is just such a natural. One of my favorite Edge moments over the last year has been him beating up that laptop, which I thought was awesome, of the GM. Um, but there's so many more memories, so many to name. Not enough time for this video to do it. But I just really want to get my feelings and my thoughts out about Edge. It's great seeing the SmackDown taping um, that aired tonight. Looking at him, give props to his mother, give props to the fans, and seeing him do that entrance more than once, doing it twice. So I'm just going to leave you guys with that. Thank you for listening and watching this edition of Spec Commentaries, very special edition. And I hope the best for you, Edge, Adam Copeland, going forward. Peace out.